Hello Internet Allies, how are you doing? So, today I'm going to be talking a little bit about something I find really hard to deal with when it happens to me, and that is ghosting. However, this might be my most hypocritical vlog yet, because even though there have been instances where I've been ghosted in the past, and it always makes me feel quite low when that happens, because I'm worried that what if that person hates me, and I'm worried that I might have said or done something to offend that person. There's also been times where I've ended up ghosting other people as well, even though it's very rare when this happens. And yeah, that also makes me feel really bad when I end up doing that. Another reason why I'm going to be talking about ghosting is because being ghosted is one of my biggest fears. It's Halloween soon, so appropriate. Being ghosted by people has also made me quite wary of making and maintaining new friendships, now and probably in the future as well. So yeah, I kind of just want to talk a little bit about what it is, when I think it's appropriate to ghost somebody, when it isn't appropriate to ghost somebody, and basically what I think is important to remember. So first of all, what is ghosting? So ghosting is basically when somebody stops or ignores any form of communication from you without really any kind of reason or explanation or context. So ghosting is something I really find it hard to deal with when it happens to me, especially when the person I'm talking to I genuinely think is my friend, and somebody I genuinely like and respect, doesn't reply to me or stops talking to me for seemingly no reason, and I just worry, that I've said or done something to upset that person. To be honest, I'm not really the type of person to intentionally harass people. I'm always quite respectful, polite, etc. when talking to people online and stuff like that. I mean, I'd like to think I'm like that in real life as well, but that can be debated. And when I've been ghosted, I do, like I say, I do often kind of worry what I've said or done, and whether I've said or done anything wrong, even when I honestly genuinely can't think of anything I've said or done to make that other person feel uncomfortable. Sometimes a case might be, if you're messaging a friend and they don't reply, it might be because they're busy, they might be bad at replying, or they might just forget. And I think really with true friendships, I do think that it is important to persevere, to not give up on those friendships. And it's important to find out what kind of communication works best for you both. However, this doesn't really stop me from worrying that I have been ghosted by a friend, even though, like I say, I can't think of anything I've said or done to upset that person. However, I do think there are a few instances where, sometimes you do need to ghost people. The first instance I can think of is, if a person you feel is harassing you, or making you feel uncomfortable, unsafe, or is just plainly giving you grief basically online or through any form of communication. I don't think it's right for anybody to basically feel pressured into replying or pressured into maintaining a relationship with somebody if that person does make you feel unsafe or uncomfortable or whatever, or if somebody keeps on pestering you. However, I do think sometimes, if you think the friendship or relationship can be salvaged, can be resolved, I do think it is kind of important to at least try to resolve any kind of problem that you guys might have. I think sometimes people might not realise that they are making you feel uncomfortable or whatever. So, I think it's always worth talking it through if there is any issues going on. If you think, the friendship or relationship is beyond repair, basically, I think then that's the time to basically, kind of ghost them. I'd say also be wary of stranger danger. It's different if that person's asking you for help or for an opinion or whatever, but you know, if people are asking you quite personal, intimate details about your life and you don't know them, or if you don't know them outside of the internet, say, then yeah, so you don't really owe it to them or to anyone to basically reply to those messages. So the last instance where I can think of where, you know, I think it's okay to like ghost people or not talk to them online is really kind of a specific one, but I'll talk about it anyway. And it's basically for anybody who's like working with children or vulnerable adults. So I used to be a support worker, and there were a few instances where a few of the service users of the places I was working as a support worker tried to, you know, kind of add me, follow me on social media, and that's kind of not really appropriate because obviously on personal social media accounts such as like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you know, I am kind of posting quite personal things, you know, things that happen in my personal life, you know, post things about my friends, my family, you know, things I get up to and some of my own personal thoughts and feelings. And for those people, the service users, to see that, because I need to maintain professional in front of the service users, you know, it can be quite inappropriate if they did see some of my personal things. I mean, that does not necessarily mean I don't like the service users of the places that I used to be a support worker of. It just basically means that, you know, it is kind of inappropriate for me to basically be sort of friends with them on social media. It could also get like support workers into trouble if they end up like adding like service users like on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever, because you know, it's the other way around, you know, like, you know, I could end up finding out details about their kind of personal lives and, you know, their personal thoughts and stuff like that, which again would be kind of inappropriate and stuff. It also might show like favoritism towards those particular service users, and that's not really fair either. I do think, as somebody on the spectrum, like, I do sort of understand that it can be difficult to kind of understand what those boundaries are, and sometimes I think people on the spectrum can sometimes, you know, test those boundaries sometimes. I think the reason for this happening is not because people on the spectrum mean any harm. It's because, you know, I think they're just basically trying to like learn about boundaries and stuff as well, because stuff like that doesn't necessarily come naturally to somebody on the spectrum. Okay, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about times where, you know, I definitely don't think it's okay to ghost somebody. If you're friends with that person and, you know, you want to make plans to meet up and stuff. If somebody suggests meeting up and, you know, say you can't, or, you know, you don't feel like meeting up at that precise time, it's still okay to say no. And I think for me, I'd much rather be told no than not get an answer at all. I also don't think it's okay to ghost people if you kind of like promise to help somebody, or if somebody is coming to you for genuine help or reassurance or whatever. You know, again, it's still okay for you to say no if you can't help that person, or if you don't know how to help that person, or if you don't know how to reassure that person. I don't really think true friends would intend to ghost each other. So basically, I think we all could do with being a little bit better at communicating with each other. I will say that, you know, if somebody gets so used to being ghosted, you know, that can make them wary of making and maintaining new friends, because, you know, they don't really want to get hurt. And also, you know, if somebody tries to make friends with them, they might think it's okay to like ghost them. It's kind of not really kind of training social skills. I mean, I have ended up like losing friends in the past out of feeling like I've been ghosted. However, like, I have learned like that, you know, sometimes this might not be intentional. Again, they might be kind of bad at replying, they might have forgotten to reply. Thanks very much for watching this little ramble, guys. Please let me know what you think in the comments, and I hope you're having a nice day, and until next time, keep smiling. Bye.